Hi there, BookTube! My name is Christina and welcome back to Novel Niche. Today I'm here to speak to you about my least favorite book of 2020. I already had a video about all of my most disappointing reads, and this was one of those, but this is more like a little bit more an in-depth review about why I disliked this book specifically. And even if I read it in Italian and it was originally written in Italian, I still decided to make a review because for the first time I met this kind of content in a book and I really wanted to address it and to explain you why I disliked it so much. And the book is Giorni, giapponesi, or Japanese Days by Angela Terzani-Stode. And she is the wife, or was the wife, I'm not sure, I don't think that she's still alive. Oh my god, I'm not sure about it actually. She was born in 1939, so I don't know if she's still alive. Oh my god. Anyhow, that's a woman who is or was the wife of a very famous Italian journalist who used to travel around the world and write about his experience of the places where he visited. And he wrote quite a lot about his experience in Asia. And this is kind of a diary almost of the memories and thoughts of his wife, written by herself. I believe that she was kind of a journalist too, I guess. And this is actually written in the form of a diary. Like, we have different entries with the date, the day, the month, the year in which it was written. And the story, this book specifically, starts in 1985, and it's the year when she and her husband arrive in Tokyo and they start living in Japan. And they will live there for 5 full years, even if they kept moving sometimes back to Italy just for like holidays or stuff like that, or for work they had to travel somewhere, but pretty much they lived in Japan for 5 years. And I hoped so much to enjoy this book. I mean, I wanted to read a book in Italian written by an Italian author. I was fascinated by her because I heard a lot of things about her husband, and I wanted to read her book first and then to read his book too, to see how the opinions changed or stuff like that. But I struggled so much with this book. I started it at the beginning of last year when we started to plan with my boyfriend our trip to Japan, but then it was cancelled last year. We moved it to 2021 for our kind of honeymoon, but we're not sure that we will be able to go there this year either. So we just started it at the beginning of last year with a lot of expectations and with a lot of kind of good feelings. And when we started it, it was a little bit strange. We weren't sure if she was trying to be funny or sarcastic or what, but the more we read, the worse it got. So we arrived at around page 100, and then I stopped reading it out loud because he wasn't enjoying the experience, I wasn't enjoying the experience. But then before the end of 2020, I just decided that I had to finish this book for a bunch of reasons that I will discuss with you right now. So the reason why I disliked it so like vividly and so with such a passion is because she's describing Tokyo and Japan society in a very specific like time period. We're talking about the years when there was the economical boom in Japan, so it was moving forward. It had all of some of the worst aspects of consumerism and of producing more than it needed, and of trying to conquering all of the other markets around the world. So it was that kind of time setting. But even if this author pretty much hates everything about the country in which she's living, she doesn't respect the culture, the people, the places. She kind of judges it with the eye of a superior Western person, and I hated it. Like, in my guts. I don't know how to explain it, but I felt so outraged. I mean, you have the opportunity to live in a different country, and the only thing that you keep doing is whining and complaining and telling how they are wrong in their way of living, in their way of acting. And there are some very interesting aspects in this book, and that's one of the reasons why I kept reading it. I mean, I knew very little about Japan after the Second World War, what happened, and how they interacted with other Asian cultures, and how there were some issues there and stuff like that. But then the way she describes everything else is just so so plain, in a very horrible way. Like if she's putting the whole country and its culture under a microscope with one of those white lights used like in the hospital, when you can see only the worst things with a maximum of specificity without seeing anything else. So that was kind of, I know that it's a strange description, but that was the feeling that I was having. Like she was specifically analyzing everything in the worst light possible, and so it wasn't great for me. I love Japan. I love what I know about Japanese culture. I know that it's not perfect. I don't fetishize it. Yeah, that at all. I know that it has its problems, and there are some lacks, of course, like in every other culture. But to read something with just that amount of disrespect and that amount of judgment about someone else and something else was just strange. The reason why I decided to like pull through everything and still finish this book was first due to the few moments in which I actually was discovering something interesting, like about some historical figures of people who were living in Japan at that moment, or stuff like that. And then the other reason was because I decided that even if her point of view is completely different from mine, I should expose myself to people with a different opinion, with a completely different opinion. And I believe that it's something that we're less and less used to do nowadays due to the way social media works and internet works. Because if you don't know it, it's pretty much a place that becomes a sort of reflection of what are your thoughts. So internet tends to show you more often some results that are more in line with your way of thinking. The same goes for the social media that we're using. It doesn't matter what social media, pretty much all social media work that way. So I really wanted to read a different point of view. But then this one was really something that I wasn't enjoying, absolutely. I will still give a chance to her husband's books because I want to see what he was talking about. He was a journalist that worked also in some war zones and during war, so I want to explore a little bit more about him. But her in this book, I just hated her in this book. She was so insufferable for me. I don't know how else to explain it. So that's something that I discovered about myself, that I love reading about books about other countries, but only if the author approaches that culture and that country with a high degree of respect and from a point of view of possibilities, and from a point in which the author allows himself or herself to change ideas. And this, I saw none of that. So that's the reason why I hated this book, and I will give it away because I don't want to hold to something like that. I will never reread it, even if it was an interesting experience, because it made me think about how I tend to read books that have similar mindset that I have, and sometimes to read something different is useful. But you don't have to own it or to hold to it forever, so I will give it away. And this is it. That's the reason why I dislike this book. Let me know down below if you've ever read something similar, something with a similar vibe maybe, that made you feel the same, like someone was just openly judging something about which he or she was writing. So I would love to know if you've ever had that kind of experience. And yeah, this is it. I hope that you enjoyed this video in this bit of a bit different location and setting and everything. It's just that I didn't want to put everything on just for this specific book. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very, very soon in my next video. Bye! Ciao!